renderings that you could share with us after this interview for our website? Any photos or anything?
I'll send you to our website to see if there's anything you can grab there. But
Okay.
I mean, well, I think renderings is pretty
Okay.
much what you see.
Okay. That's fair. Super.
It's like all internal stuff, but
That makes sense.
Oh, starting the conference, and he liked that.
Okay. We'll just hang out to make sure that they're ready to go. All right, I'm just going to step in here with you to let everyone know what's going on. So we're here at TMI. This is Unit 1 right behind us. You said Unit 2 is over there, not operational anymore. And we were talking about the restart of TMI Unit 1 in 2028. So I'm going to step out of frame, but we're talking with Dave. You are with CCEC, which is Crane Clean Energy Center, which we're going to learn a lot about. All right, so here we go, Dave. Tell me a little bit about this restart. Now, I understand that Constellation Energy purchased TMI Unit 1 in 1999. Of course, it shut down 5 years ago this day, and it is planning to restart in 2028. What does that look like for the community here in central Pennsylvania?
well, it's a great day. The community gets back an economic engine to return to this region. We're going to have people come back, more than 600 jobs, thousands of contractors to come back. You know, our CEO has said that we're committed $1.6 billion of investment to restore the plant here, $1 million in charitable giving over the next 5 years. We're going to have clean energy go back to the grid, 835 megawatts, and it's going to be purchased by Microsoft. All that is $0 to taxpayers, so that's a great day.
So how is Microsoft part of this? Is there going to be a Microsoft data center that is built to make all of this happen?
No, so what this essentially is that we're going to invest into restoring the plant here, and in 2028, when we come on back online, that power that goes from here to the grid, PGM grid, Microsoft is on the hook for the next 20 years beyond that to buy that power. So this is not what's called a behind the meter contractor deal. It's what's called a power purchase agreement, or PPA. So Microsoft is going to be on the hook to buy that power for 20 years after 2028.
And who does that power go to? Is this households, companies? Who are we talking about here?
Yeah, so the power generated here, the clean energy generated here, goes to the PGM grid, which stands for Pennsylvania, Jersey, Maryland, and then it's kind of like a heart. And then the electricity gets pumped out to where it's needed most based upon the weather and demand of that day. So yeah, it goes to homes, it goes to offices, it goes to buildings locally and around the region.
How many people is this going to impact when it comes to buying and purchasing electricity?
As you mean, I'm sorry.
So when it comes, so I would say, like, we know that, like, people are going to be impacted. Do we know how many households, or is that yet to be determined as far as, like, who wants to purchase this energy?
Well, the energy that goes to the grid, it's purchased by Microsoft, and then it's up to, the 835 megawatts will go to, don't know exactly, but it's
Will it
roughly
go through, like, PPL, or I guess, like, how would it be available to be used by?
Well, you flip
people?
on a light switch, it's going to come right to your home.
Okay.
So the grid is in charge of how the electricity is distributed.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the grid
Yes.
that is controlling all of that. When it comes to the financial impact in the community economically, what are you guys projecting right now?
So like we said, we're investing $1.6 billion to restore the plant here. A lot of that will go to local contractors, unions, and trades. We're going to have more than 600 full-time jobs come back to the area. So that's people living in your communities. You're going to have scout leaders, little league coaches, that sort of thing. People shopping at local restaurants and going to the bars here. So it's going to be a giant, massive economic engine to restart here.
And what has to happen next? Because I understand there's some red tape you guys have to cross. You have to apply for certain licenses to restart any kind of nuclear power plant. So what are the next steps here?
Sure. Over the past 5 years, as you mentioned, to this day, we shut down 5 years ago. Today is a great day to announce that we're going to restart in a few years. So a lot of work has to be done. Over the past 5 years, we had the initial phase of decommissioning. So over the next 3 or 4 years, we're going to work with our stakeholders at the NRC to Department of Energy, the state stakeholders, PA, DEP, those sorts of things, to work to restore this plant, restore those components back, and so we can get started making clean energy again.
And we have to talk about Unit 2 because I think anytime that Three Mile Island comes up, of course, we think about the disaster that happened in 1979. What can you tell people who are worried about any kind of potential nuclear disaster when it comes to Unit 1 being recommissioned and starting back again?
Sure, look, I get it. You know, people who were here in 1979, it was a big impact to this community, to this region, to those people that lived through that. But what we're here to talk about is Unit 1. Constellation has never owned Unit 2, and for 45 years, Unit 1, the working unit here, has had a stellar record of safety and performance, operationally, reliability, and for 45 years, it ran at world-class levels, and it shut down in 2019 due to economic reasons, nothing to do with safety or reliability of the plant.
Are there any extra safety measures that are being put into place as all of this starts back again?
Sure, we're going to be up to the same NRC guidelines, the latest guidelines that they provide to us and the Department of Energy. So yeah, we'll follow all safety regulatory guidelines.
Is there anything that you want the people of Pennsylvania to know as you guys make this massive announcement? A lot of people are going to be interested in. Anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to add?
Yeah, that's a great question. There is one thing I do want to know that reminds me, you know, I was across the street 5 years ago to this day. The weather was just like this, a beautiful day. We announced closure. I came back here, and when we turned the breaker off, you know, it was a very emotional day. People were crying in there. You have to understand that after that shutdown, with dozens and dozens of families uproot their lives, move away. You know, this community, the fabric of it was torn a little bit. People had to go to Maryland and upstate New York and other places across Pennsylvania. It was a tough day. So for today to have that announcement to say, hey, we're going to restart, we're going to come back, it's a happy day now. I think a lot of people that were here this day 5 years ago are excited at the prospect that we can get TMI Unit 1, now Crane Clean Energy Center, Unit 1, back up and running.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time this morning, and thank you for all the information as well.
Appreciate it.
And we're going to hop on with one of our state representatives, so I'll go grab him. You guys hang tight on Facebook, and we'll be right back. And you can take a look at TMI Unit 1 that's just over our shoulder right here. Tom McAfee, hello. Mahaffey.
Yeah, Mahaffey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go over here and do our interview here. We're live on Facebook right now, so we just finished up with Dave.
Yes, please.
If only we had makeup people, right, for all of us. It's a big day, of course. We'll make sure you're all framed up, and Bree, let us know when you're ready.
Alrighty, I have them all framed.
So, Representative, when it comes to today, what's one word that you can think of to describe what's happening today?
Exciting.
Why?
It's an exciting day. I mean, we fought really hard back in 2019 with my bill HB 11 that came out, and you know, it didn't see the light of day. You know, no pun intended on that. And they closed the plant. So with it reopening, never thought in a million years that this plant would reopen, and here we are today. Things have changed, though. Things have changed dramatically, you know, with AI and data centers and what's going on here today, and, you know, Constellation partnering with Microsoft. I think, you know, that tells you that these kind of plants are going to be needed more and more and more. So we're going to see a lot of, I think, good progress in the near future.
Yeah, it sounds like this is the start of the future right here with this nuclear power plant starting up again. What has happened over the last 5 years that has impacted this to the point where we are able to start it up again?
I think the demand for energy is number one. I think we're seeing more and more of it, the price of energy and what has transpired since 2019 when they closed to this day. It's kind of ironic that they're opening the day it closed back in 5 years ago. So I think those are the things that are really going on, and just the demand for electricity through not only these data centers, but everything. I mean, our cars, we're going to a lot of electric cars, and just all that going on is just really putting stress on our grid, and we need to bring back these baseload power plants if available. We saw that in Michigan. Now we're seeing it here in Pennsylvania, and hopefully throughout the state with new innovation with small modular reactors. I think this is going to be the cutting edge leading into the next couple decades.
Yeah, for folks who live in the community who can see the units outside of their windows, what does this mean to the common person who's sitting at home watching this? How do you explain what this means to them and how it's going to impact their everyday lives.
Well, I think everybody has a different opinion about 3 Mile Island and what happened at TMI-2. That is in decommissioning state. It's completely independent from TMI-1. TMI-1 ran efficiently, probably one of the best running reactors in the country, from what I'm told. And it's exciting to see that there's going to be a lot of workers here, a lot of people coming in, like when these particular plants were built. And it's going to bring a lot of commerce and a lot of excitement to this district. But on top of that, you know, it's going to be good for the region as far as relocation. A lot of families were uprooted. They lost their jobs. You know, a lot of bad things happened at that point in time. We lost taxing revenue. We lost, you know, a lot of businesses were hooked to this plant. And, you know, unfortunately they left. Well, hopefully now they'll come back. We'll see people come back, buying houses, doing the things that everyday people do, and it's going to be real exciting. And these are great paying union jobs, so we're really excited to see this happen.
Yeah, how do you anticipate this impacting the economy? We have, you know, until 2028 when everything gets started, but a lot of work is going to happen before then. How do you see it affecting the common person who's coming to work here and the neighboring folks who live near it?
Well, I think just in general, what's going to happen here, I think it's a couple $1 billion in work that's going to happen, which is a lot of money and a lot of work. So they're estimating, I think at one point, a couple thousand, I think it was 3,400 I read, but, you know, jobs here. So it's going to be a busy town. We saw this out in the western part of the state when they built the cracker plant. You know, there was a lot of jobs and a lot going on, and then continuously jobs. So when the jobs that are going to continue here is probably 600 to 800, you know, and helping out there. As far as when it comes to the economy, I mean, just businesses in general are going to flourish from this, you know, and other ones that are going to bring the parts and the things that are needed here are going to relocate here, because this doesn't stop. And they said, you know, this is going to go on for decades. So this is a 20-year agreement with them, and you're going to see a lot going on, and hopefully you'll see a lot more outside of, you know, 3 Mile Island, other things being built because of this.
Why is this something that you're so passionate about, that you wanted to be here today and something that you really pushed for to happen?
Yeah, this probably started when I first got into General Assembly. This was talk about how they were going to shut down 3 Mile Island. And, you know, I knew a lot of people. I live right over the hill. I can see the stacks from my house. You know, the sad day was when you didn't see steam come out of there. You know, and that at that point, you know, I'm involved as a person, and I took this position as, you know, the state representative, and I got heavily involved, and I did a lot of research, and I visited all the nuclear power plants across the state to make sure that this is the right thing to do. And it was, and unfortunately it didn't happen. It closed. But at the same time, now here we are 5 years, and now we're up again, you know, looking at reopening this, and it's just a really good day. But I know in my heart it's a safe, clean energy, that's what people are looking for, and that's what we need to do. And it's not just this plant, it's the plants, keeping the traditional plants open, looking at these small modular reactors, and making sure that we have enough baseload power, because if our grid isn't reliable, you know, rolling blackouts and brownouts can happen, and we haven't had that because of plants like 3 Mile Island. So, you know, my passion comes from what I know, what I understand, and all the excitement that's going to be here for the people of this district.
I was going to ask you what reassurance you would give to people who are anxious, but I think you just answered that with your explanation there. Is there anything I haven't asked you, or anything that you want to add about today and looking ahead to the future with TMI?
No, I want to thank Constellation. I want to thank Microsoft for putting this together. You know, we were looking at this back in June with the General Assembly and trying to come up with some innovative ways for some tax credits and things like that. That didn't happen. They figured out a way to make it work without the tax credits. So it's exciting to see that these companies ultimately realize what we need to do and why we need to reopen this plant, and why nuclear power is one of the premier energy generations in the country.
And is this going to impact taxpayers?
No, not at all. There's no legislation that needs to be done. They're not asking for any subsidies. This is only going to be a good thing for the taxpayers of PA.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Representative.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, we've got 2 more interviews for you this afternoon. We're going to go speak with some folks who know a lot of behind the scenes work with this, and then we're going to speak with a representative with Londonderry Township. So we'll take another look at TMI Unit 1, which is right behind me, and we'll be right back. Robin Company, yes. Come on over. All right, so we'll go ahead and do a 3-shot here, and I'll Bree, we have three gentlemen with us here, so we're just going to interview all of them together. So we'll just do a wider shot, and I'll just ask you who you are and to introduce yourselves for our Facebook audience. And then if there is one particular answer that you want to talk about, then I'll let you step up if that works for all of you.
Sure.
All right, so go ahead, give me your name and your title.
I'm Rob Baer, President of the Pennsylvania State Building Trades. This is Mike Ford, Secretary Treasurer of the State Building Trades. Joe Gussler, Apprentice Coordinator statewide for us.
Okay, so first off, we're going to start with you. What is your title again? Sorry, tell me your title again.
President of the State Building Trades.
Now, what is that exactly? What is your job?
We represent the 130,000 union construction workers across all Pennsylvania, all trades, all disciplines.
Okay, so people who you represent are going to be working here.
They will be rebuilding this plant. That is correct.
What does that look like over the next few years?
So we're probably anticipating somewhere between 700 and 1,000 jobs created for construction. We're going to be using boilermakers, carpenters, electricians, pipe fitters. All the building trades will be here. It's going to spur a lot of interest and money going into the local economy with all our guys working here. And we know that they're going to be here till December 2028 till we bring this plant online. So it's huge for the building trades, huge for the building trades.
With the plant being shut down and then being restarted again, what needs to happen? And I don't need all the technical information. That might be too much of a technical question, but what does need to happen in order for it to start back up?
So everything that's in there has to be gone over with a fine-tooth comb that we're going to be using again. There's a ton of parts that we're going to have to bring in new, which we have been working with Constellation on long lead time items. Of course, we got to reload the reactor with all the fuel. So there is a ton of work. We have condensers. Of course, you can see the cooling towers will completely need to be redone. There's a ton of work inside the building on the turbine deck. So it's going to be a big undertaking. And, you know, Constellation really stepped up here to put this investment in. You know, you heard them yesterday. It's a major investment for them. And it's a major investment in them to us. You know, we've been partners with them since the day this place was built, and it was the original GPU. You know, so we're in it for the long haul, and so are they.
Where are the folks who are going to be working on this construction project coming from? Are they coming from across the United States? Are they international? Are they local?
We'll be pulling from all over the United States, but we will have a ton of our local workforce here. One of the things that we're blessed with in Central PA, we do still have a big workforce, you know, across the book of business. And a lot of our bigger locals are based, like 19, which might comes from sheet metal workers, is out of Philadelphia. Joe and I are both local. Labor is local, 1180. Electricians, 143, where we originally come from. We're right here. But we'll have guys from all over coming in here for this. And keep in mind, once this place is up and running, in 2 years, we'll be doing the outages again. You know, so it's
What does that mean? I'm not familiar with that.
so every 2 years you have to shut down for 30 days and you got to replace half the fuel, and we do all the maintenance between the runs. So that's a lot of jobs too for us going forward.
And
you
that's
know?
every 2 years, because it can run with nuclear energy every 2 years, right, without
Yep.
being interrupted.
Well, this plant for the longest time had the best record of any plant, and Unit 1 in the country with the most breaker to breaker uninterrupted runs in the United States. So we've always taken a lot of pride in Unit 1, you know.
Certainly.
And I think Constellation realizes the value of the workforce that we have here, you know. So we're pretty excited. And with all the construction jobs, that's why Joe and Mike are here. You know, we're going to be creating a ton of apprentice opportunities now too. You know, when you have all your guys coming here, we have tons of work elsewhere too. That gives the opening. Joe's been out, for a year and a half beating the bushes selling apprenticeship programs.
Wow.
Because, you know, we work very closely with Governor Shapiro when he suspended the need for a lot of the college requirements for the state jobs.
Right.
We've been working with him, showing the value of these middle-class, blue-collar, union building trades jobs. And when people find out that, you know, you can come into the trades as a young man or woman and actually have a really good career, you know, with wages, health care, pension plans, annuity plans, and you know you can retire with security and you have a lifelong career, you know, that's
pretty good deal.
exciting time, you know. And the apprenticeships don't cost you anything. It's like a complete free ride 4-year college scholarship.
Yeah.
So
it's going to impact our local trade schools too.
big time,
Okay.
big
That
time.
makes sense. I see you shaking your head. I'm going to come to you next. Do you mind removing your glasses for me?
Oh,
I just
sure.
like to be able to look
Yeah.
people in the eye when I'm talking to them. What does this look like from your standpoint? And you can step up here with me too. What is this going to look like as far as your job and what you're going to be doing?
Well, it's exciting for not just the tradespeople in the area, but the area in and of itself. Now, you know, I live locally, so my kids' school district, Lower Dauphin, used to get about $1 million a year from this plant to help offset taxes. And, you know, we're going to have that again. Middletown, where Joe went to high school, same deal. They used to get $1 million. All that went away when the plant closed down. So it's exciting that this is going to restart, and we're going to give young men and women opportunities to have careers. It's exciting.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add from the construction standpoint and just getting everything ready? Because I know talk started in June. Did you guys know anything about this prior to then, or is this all very new, like hit the ground running?
It's hit the ground running. I mean, there's been plenty of discussions, conversations, but after going through what we did 5 years ago to the day when we had to close TMI Unit 1, it's exciting for the whole community to know that we're going to start putting people back to work right here, and the Crane Clean Energy Center will employ well over 600 full-time people as well, and it'll be great for the local communities.
And give the governor his props. So a year ago, more than a year ago, when they were talking about opening this place up, the governor called Joe and I and asked us to come down here with his action team because Joe and I have worked in this plant. And the governor said, give me an honest assessment, is this doable? So we've been involved a long way. Joe's been spearheading this for the building trades, and he's been working with the governor's action team all along. I don't know that this could have happened without Josh's support, and Constellation has been working with him continuously to make this happen.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was reading in the press release, it is bipartisan support because you have Congressman Scott Perry supporting it as well as Governor Josh Shapiro. So it's interesting. That doesn't always happen in politics, right? Where two people come together on opposite sides.
The building trades, we're pretty nonpartisan. We work with both sides of the aisle. For us, it's about jobs. It's about putting people in real careers, and I think the governor really sees the value in that. So, I know he couldn't be here today, but he takes a lot of hits, but when he gets his kudos, it's time to give them to him. He did really well in this one for Pennsylvania.
I appreciate you joining us this morning. Anything that I didn't ask you that you want to add? You've said a lot of helpful information for us.
I just tell everybody, look, without nuclear power, the state's in trouble. I am an energy guy, and we know that in 2028, 2029, there's going to be a lot of gas plants retiring. The studies have been out there. PJM's told people, we are going to be in a power deficit. So when we bring projects like this back online, that is solidifying our stance and our position in the country as the #1 energy exporter. Pennsylvania is the #2 energy producer. We're the #1 energy exporter. We take a lot of pride in that too. Without Pennsylvania, there'd be a whole lot of people in the dark. So, with what Constellation's committing to here, it's going to solidify us in that realm again.
All right, 2028 with everything kicking off. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we have one more interview for you guys. We are going to catch up with Anna. Oh, you want to? You guys can both come over if you want with the township. Let's do it.
I'm with the county.
You're with the county.
That's fine.
Y'all can come together, yeah.
Mike.
Candace Scalise,
Candace,
nice
how
to
you
meet you.
Hello.
You and I have met.
Did I just see you the other day?
Probably, yeah.
I saw you at Wawa yesterday.
Yes,
was
she
you.
was.
You weren't there.
No, but I was on the anchor desk, so I saw the fun.
Okay.
Yeah, without being in it. So we are streaming on Facebook Live
Yes,
right
yes.
now.
How's my hair?
Yeah, I
Good?
think it's
Okay.
good. Yeah.
We're live right now.
We're live right now.
We're live right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and give me your name and your title for people who don't know you as well.
Mike Prees, Dauphin County Commissioner.
Okay.
Anna Dale, London Dairy Supervisor.
So I love the hyper-local angle here with both of you showing up today, so thank you for your time. Tell me a little bit from a county perspective how this is going to impact people who live right here in the Commonwealth.
Sure. This is a great day for Dauphin County and the region, specifically here in Londonderry Township. It's literally like having Christmas come early. We all know what the impact was here from 5 years ago. Yesterday to the day was the day that TMI shut down. And during that time, we talked about the loss of 675 full-time jobs, a $60 million annual payroll, the impact it had to the local taxes for Londonderry Township, Dauphin County, and the Lower Dauphin School District. And then every other September, this month, every other year, 1,200 skilled union laborers would come here and work on the plant during a 30-day shutdown, which is the equivalent of 36,000 room nights, spending millions of dollars in our local economy. And that's all gone now. But hopefully, with the great announcement today by Constellation and Microsoft, instead of being reactionary, they're being proactive. This is a great day for Dauphin County, and we view this as a great thing for Londonderry Township and the region.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about the township. Since this is so close to people who you guys serve, what's been the reaction from residents when talking about getting TMI Unit 1 back up?
There's been mixed reactions because there's some people who have never been here during the accident itself in '79. There are some that lived through it, and of course they're we're cognizant of their concerns. Safety is the biggest issue with that. But I think over these 45 years from the accident, we are looking at new technologies, new engineering skills, and those things. And we're also talking about new innovations that have happened in the nuclear industry. But by and large, I've found a lot of our residents, and of course, not many know yet because they haven't listened to the news. This is relatively new, so my phone hasn't been ringing off the hook.
Right.
But in meeting a few people, most everyone seems to be very positive about it coming back online. It is, number one, the job impact that we've had. Even in my own neighborhood, there were people that left because they lost their jobs here. There's a big partnership that we've always had with the plant here because of their support with our first responders, our fire company. Those kinds of things we're looking forward to coming back to our residents because we are predominantly agricultural here.
Right.
And so the tax base is reliant on homeowners. We don't have a large commercial, those kinds of things. So having the plant come back online will make a big impact on our township budget, which means we don't have to be too reliant on increasing taxes for our residents. So overall, I think the impression has been positive so far. I mean, along with that, they have also funded the Communities That Care library bus that travels throughout the whole Lower Dauphin School District area, and that has a great impact on people that are living here in the township and all of the other municipalities that surround it.
Yeah, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, there's also national security issues here. It's clean, reliable, and I repeat, reliable energy that stays on. We saw during the deep freeze in Texas a couple years ago when millions of Americans were impacted. That would not occur if we had a 3 Mile Island running at the time.
What does it mean for folks who are not as familiar with clean energy? What does that look like? What does it mean to the consumer who's going to be using this electricity?
I think a lot of it is we hear a lot of talk about doing electric lawnmowers, electric stoves, and getting rid of gas stoves, electric cars. We are very addicted to electricity, but we don't really always have the power to feed that need. So I think a lot of people don't really think about it until they have a brownout or their power goes out for 3 days, or heaven forbid if you're total electric, as my sister-in-law, and it's in the middle of the winter. These are big issues, or in the summer when the air conditioning goes down, because we've gotten very used to having heat and air conditioning at the flip of a switch. So I think people don't really think about it as much. We tend to think about the movies that have been done or the big accidents that have been done and not really think about how all of the infrastructure goes into place to provide energy to the actual homeowner and the small business owner.
I know a lot has to happen before 2028 when everything officially goes online. How do you anticipate it's going to, when do you anticipate we are going to see an impact locally when it comes to the jobs, when it comes to folks who are going to be here working on this and buying those homes?
Well, I think the first impact we're going to see is the same as we did during the outages, when you have a lot of people coming in for construction. So our hotels, our local restaurants, those kind of places are going to probably feel that impact first. Then housing is going to be another issue. I know in our township we're also looking at some development coming in so that maybe the two might coincide to be able to do that. But we all know that housing is a big issue across the entire country. So I think this gives us some time to get ready for those high-class jobs that are going to be coming in 28.
Yeah, what does that look like? Is there a lot of preparation that happens? I imagine with all of this coming about that there's going to be a lot that has to happen on the local level in order to prepare for more people coming in and in order to prepare for that economic impact. Are there any plans currently in place, or is that something that needs to happen because we just learned about it today?
We actually just learned about it yesterday,
Oh,
so
wow,
this
okay.
is all fluid.
Yeah.
She mentioned the impact of the local businesses. During the shutdowns every other year, Roberto's Pizza in Middletown would have 450 pizzas and subs ordered every day during that 30-day shutdown. So
Wow.
the impact just for them during that period would benefit them for the entire year.
Okay.
So there was a lot of reliance on our local businesses to the folks that worked here and the folks that came in every other year. But the impact is large, and we look forward to working with our partners in the Lower Dauphin School District and Londonderry Township as we move forward.
Yeah, certainly. Is there anything else that either of you want to add that I did not ask
I
you?
want to give a shout out to State Representative Mahaffey for his leadership 6-7 years ago, which led to the opportunity to hopefully at the time keep the plant open. It did not happen, but he definitely led the way and brought this into everybody's home, and folks were aware of what was happening here. And and special thanks to the media for putting this out there and then being here today to again put this message out there.
Super. Anything you want to add?
I think that was all said.
You had a lot of great information. Thank you both for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Nice to see you again.
So if you are just joining us, a lot just happened. We've been on Facebook for about 30 minutes now. We've interviewed a lot of different people. Let me grab my notes real quick. So at CBS 21, we got all of the information around 7 o'clock this morning in a press release detailing information about Constellation Energy and how it is planning to restart TMI Unit 1, which you see right behind me. It is not operational right now. That's because, as you probably heard, 5 years ago, it shut down due to economic challenges. And so now the plan is for Constellation Energy to restart that with Crane Clean Energy Center. And so what we know this morning is that there's going to be a massive investment to prepare for the restart of TMI Unit 1, and restarting a nuclear reactor really requires U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission approval. So now they have to go through a comprehensive safety and environmental review. They have to go through permits relevant to state and local agencies. They have to go through a separate request. Constellation has to pursue a license renewal that will extend plant operations until 2054 because they are signing this agreement with Microsoft for a 20-year operation. So it will be in existence, they hope, for the next 20 years. So we know that U.S. Congressman Scott Perry said that he was proud to see the launch of Crane Clean Energy Center. You might have heard that some of the representatives we spoke to referenced Josh Shapiro, our governor, and how he was a big advocate for this and how he actually visited the site to come and see what it was like here and is this a possibility. Now, a lot of locals who lived here during TMI Unit 2 in 1979 during that nuclear disaster might feel very anxious, and a lot of the folks we spoke with today say they're very aware of that. They're pointing to the amount of time that has passed since then and all of the AI technology and all of the information and all of the resources that they have now that they didn't have back then, and science in general and how it has changed. And so they are planning to do this, of course, safely. So there was a lot of talk about that as well. I asked about the family impact. We're talking about 835 megawatts. So the previous plant, when TMI was purchased in 1999, it was operating in 837 megawatts, which was enough power for more than 800,000 average homes. So to give you an idea there about that number and how much power it's going to generate. Taking a look at my notes here, because we just spoke to a lot of different people, but a lot of folks here are very excited about this start. Again, it's not going to be up and running until 2028 because it has to go through all that red tape as a nuclear plant to get started again, to be recommissioned. But we know that a lot of workers are expected to come here and to live here and to work here to get everything restarted on TMI Unit 1. And this is the first time that we've really been on the property since it hasn't been operational in 5 years, or me personally, I would say. And to see the stacks behind us, I know a lot of you can see the stacks from when you're driving over the bridges, over the Susquehanna River. So this is a lot of new information coming down from different people that we've talked about, and so I hope that we have provided you a lot of information. We are going to have a live broadcast at noon today, so we have our team back at the studio going through all this information, and we are working on our show for noon and of course for our 5, 6, 10, and 11 o'clock newscasts as well. If you want to learn more information about this, you can go to cbs21.com. We have the press release that we have gone over, combed over. We've looked through a lot of different information. We've posted up video there, photos there, as well as information so that you can go and look at it and you can see how this is going to impact you. And we will be live in our broadcast noon here from TMI. So thanks for joining us right here on Facebook. I hope this was informational for you as we are all digesting this new info coming down this morning at 7 o'clock. But for now, I'm Candace Scalise with CBS 21 News, and I will see you guys right back here live today at noon.